Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today we're going to talk about the books that I added to my Goodreads TBR in the month of October. So during the month of October, I added 7 books to my Goodreads TBR. So I'm going to tell you which books I added to my TBR as well as where I heard about them from, and all of the channels that I mentioned will be linked down below in the description box. So please go check some of these sources out. And yeah, this way you get to kind of know where I learn about some of these books from and where I'm getting my influences from. So let's get into this. The first book that I added to my TBR in October was Broken Strings by Eric Walters and Kathy Kaser. And I heard about this from Emily at ARG Schooling. She, in her video, her August book haul, she hauled this book. And this is a book that takes place after 9/11. It's in New York, and it's a middle school, it's middle grade, I believe. And one of the girls, her grandmother, I think maybe, was killed, and so she's kind of trying to come to terms with that. She decides she's going to go out for her school musical, which happens to be Fiddler on the Roof, and she goes out for the musical and she gets cast as one of the characters. And to get kind of into the role, she's rummaging around in her grandfather's attic and comes across a violin. And this is odd to her because her grandfather does not like music, refuses to come to any of her recitals and just wants nothing to do with it. And when she asks her grandfather about the violin, he very negatively reacts to it. And so she kind of tries digging into why, and family secrets come out. This, I think, has a lot to do with Jewish culture, which I thought would be very interesting. Combined with 9/11, combined with Fiddler on the Roof and the musical aspects, just sounded like something that I would enjoy. So I added that one. The second one that I added to my TBR this month is Greenwood by Michael Christie. This is one that I heard about from Bree at Call Me After Coffee in her summer reading wrap-up that she did. She did like a recent reads video, and this is one that to me sounded absolutely fascinating. My kids and I recently did a tree unit study for science for homeschooling, and I just was absolutely enthralled by the entire topic of trees. And so then when Bree started talking about this book, which has a lot to do with trees, but it is a novel, I thought that it just sounded like something that would be fantastic. So this, I think, takes place in 4 different time frames. It follows the same family, but in 4 different times. So like the 1930s, 1970s, 2008, and then like in the future, 2070, something like that. And it has to do with different aspects of trees. So one, I think, is like a maple syrup thing. One is he's maybe cutting a tree down. One is like the protector of the only remaining forest left. And so it just sounded fantastic. I think it's more of like a family saga type thing. I don't know, but it sounded really, really intriguing. And so I added that. Number 3 that I added is The Great Trouble by Deborah Hopkinson. And this I heard about from Chantel at An Intentional Life. And she mentioned this in her September reading wrap-up. She's actually mentioned this, I think, in a couple of different videos. And she compared this one to Fever 1783. I don't remember exactly now. But it's a book by Lori Halse Anderson that has to do with the yellow fever epidemic that hit in Philadelphia. But this book has to do with the cholera outbreak in London in the, I'm guessing, 1800s, late 1800s maybe. But it has to do with a mudlark, which is a child that would basically go digging through the bank of the Thames and would come up with different just like bits and pieces and things like that, anything of value that they could get money for. And he has a secret, but then the cholera outbreak comes, and she just said that this is absolutely fantastic, blows Fever 1793 out of the water. And I really enjoyed that book, so I'm very much anticipating this one. So, okay. So the next one that I added is a graphic novel, and it's called Bear by Ben Queen and Joe Todd Stanton. I heard about this one from Vanessa at Split Reads. She did a video where she went through all of the books that she currently has checked out from the library. She works at a library, and so most of her books come from the library, and she checks out a lot of books. and I check out a lot of books, so I love seeing that. And so anyway, and she also loves graphic novels, and that's actually where I get a lot of my graphic novel recommendations from. And so this is one that I added to Goodreads because my library currently does not have this book. And so I wanted to remember to try to check it out in the future. This is about a guide dog who is currently a guide dog for a blind man, and then the dog itself loses its eyesight. And so it goes on an adventure to try to gain its sight back and starts digging into its other senses and that sort of thing to try to figure out where he's at. It sounded absolutely amazing, so I definitely want to keep that one on my radar to check out in the future. All right, number 5 on this list is The Kingdom by Jess Rothenberg. This is one that I heard about in a Facebook book club that I am part of, that I've been part of for many years. It's just a Facebook group that we share books on, and the person who runs the group, she had mentioned that she read this book, and then her husband read this book, and he had to take a break because it was too much for him. But it sounded so much fun. So this is about an amusement park, and it has Disney-esque princesses that are cyborgs that start taking over and become villainous or start taking over the amusement park. Sounds totally bizarre, but it sounds so much fun. So added that one because that just sounded like a fun time. All right, number 6 on the list is Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Agassi. This one I've just seen everywhere. It needed to be added to the TBR. It just hadn't been yet. And actually the thing that finally got me to put it on the TBR was a friend in real life who said that she had read it and she needed me to read it so that she could talk with me about it. And so I need to get it read soon. It's going to happen soon. And then the last one on this list is The Reckless Oath We Made by Bryn Greenwood. I heard about this book from Melissa at Libraries and Labradors. She is a new booktuber that I just found that is so, I love her videos so far. We don't have super similar reading. She reads a lot of romance, but outside of that, I think that her videos are so fun. And she did a recent 5-star reads video, and this book just sounded very interesting. It is about an autistic man who pledges to become a knight in shining armor, like a guard for this girl, and then stuff happens with her family, and she actually goes to him and asks him for help, and he helps her with, I think it's one of her relatives disappears or is kidnapped or something like that. But it just sounded very intriguing, so added that one as well. So those are the 7 books that I added to my Goodreads TBR in the month of October. So if you have read any of these, I would love to hear your opinions about them down below. And if there are any books that you think that I need to add to my TBR, let me know that as well. And that's going to do it for this video. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!